Now, in fact, the construction manager says that the warm winter has allowed them to get a lot done. They are busy pouring concrete and moving dirt. About 3,000 cubic yards of concrete have been placed at the Red River structure since the start of the year. Crews have also been able to place concrete at the Maple River Aqueduct and started working on the BNSF Prosper Railroad Bridge, which will allow trains to pass over the stormwater diversion channel. When all is said and done, 3 railroad bridges and 16 roads will end up crossing the diversion structure. It's the channel itself. About 45 million cubic yards of dirt must be moved, and crews are approaching 19 million, which is enough dirt to fill the Fargo Dome 9 times.